Good afternoon, I'm Meg Gatto.
And I'm Lauren McCoy. Mayor Cantrell has made her selection for NOPD superintendent.
She spoke just about a half hour ago, announcing Ann Kirkpatrick as her nominee. David Jones joins us live with more.
Yeah, this pick was certainly a surprise for some law enforcement insiders who told me they thought current NOPD interim superintendent Michelle Woodfork would have been selected. Nevertheless, after a 6-month search, Cantrell says Kirkpatrick was the best choice for the job. Kirkpatrick making her first appearance earlier this afternoon, flanked by Mayor Cantrell, the 63-year-old, dependent on the outcome of a yet-to-come city council confirmation process, will take the helm of the department at a critical time. The former Oakland police chief took the reins of that department back in 2017, being sworn in as the first female leader of Oakland PD. Now she'll move on to lead NOPD as the first female chief. Cantrell thanked Woodfork for her time as interim superintendent, a role which she took over from retired NOPD chief Sean Ferguson back in December of last year. The search process was led by the International Association of Chiefs of Police, which whittled down the list of applicants to a group of just a handful of finalists who came to New Orleans for in-person interviews with the mayor. The mayor says Kirkpatrick's experience leading departments was the biggest factor in her pick, notably a department like Oakland, which is under a consent decree. Cantrell says she is excited to bring Kirkpatrick on board.
I believe that Ms. Kirkpatrick has the experience that the city of New Orleans that we need holistically at this time.
There's a lot that's going to be on her plate, but she's going to have to be able to hit the ground running. Bottom line, hit the ground running, get her top team in place, and I hope she's ready to work on behalf of the people of the city.
Cantrell said Woodfork will remain in her position until September 22nd. She said she hopes Kirkpatrick is confirmed by City Council by October 5th. Until then, she will assume the role of interim chief on September 22nd until she is confirmed. Cantrell said she has forwarded information about Kirkpatrick's background to council members. Kirkpatrick says she's excited to begin the council confirmation process. She also praised the process, saying it fosters transparency. Both the mayor and Kirkpatrick also said Woodfork will be staying on with NOPD. The mayor didn't elaborate on the position Woodfork would hold, but both Cantrell and Kirkpatrick praising Woodfork for her professionalism and staying on with the department. And Kirkpatrick will be doing a sit-down interview with Fox 8 in just a few moments. We'll have more on that coming up at 5 o'clock. For now, reporting live at City Hall, David Jones, Fox 8, Local First.